I will actually start saying just a few words about Lufthansa Systems and who we are, then going on about talking about the way we work, and finally the way we understand innovation, and then actually letting you know how we actually facilitate it here within Lufthansa Systems. So introducing Lufthansa Systems, if you have a Lufthansa in mind, most probably we have a similar picture in mind when thinking of Lufthansa. Actually, describing or having a picture of Lufthansa Systems in mind is a bit different, or it looks a bit different, since we're into IT. So what this picture should visualize is that we are kind of invisible. So at the first look, we're invisible since we're the IT behind the scenes of Lufthansa, but also of other companies, airline companies alike. So even though we're often invisible to the passengers, we are the ones who ensure the processes for the airlines, from planning their day-to-day operations to onboard entertainment and up to flight operations. So if you actually take a closer look, you would find us in an airline daily business, and we actually provide something that you otherwise would not necessarily see. So whenever there is digitization or aviation combined, that's actually where we are. So the purpose of Lufthansa Systems is that we do innovate the world of aviation every day. We combine the airline expertise, since we're a 100% subsidiary of Lufthansa. We are airline experts, but we combine this expertise with the IT know-how, since we're also, or our main purpose or portfolio is in the IT industry. We also enable, by doing so, we enable the safe, efficient, and joyful flying. And finally, by doing so, we are an essential cornerstone of the Lufthansa Group's digital strategy. So just to give you a picture of what our portfolio is, or what we are talking about, if we talk about new products or new services, we basically talk about new IT services to enable other airlines running their business. So without going too much in detail about the facts and figures, what matters here is, as I said, we are 100% subsidiary of the Lufthansa Group, which I will come back to this later on. But besides Lufthansa, we're also dealing with more than 350 customers of all sizes and business models. So 350 companies or airlines, companies in the aviation industry. What matters most on this slide is that when we talk about facilitating innovation at Lufthansa Systems, we, at this point in time, talk about roughly 2,200 employees worldwide who can engage with our innovation framework. To talk about the innovation framework, I'd like to start talking about our working environment, or the way we work. Since aviation is all about creating connections, we at Lufthansa Systems also try to foster a working environment that enables cooperative, faster, and innovative collaboration. And this working environment is something that we call the Aviation Campus. And the Aviation Campus is the infrastructure for digital innovations, for exchanging ideas, exploiting synergies, or altogether creating the space for opportunities, altogether creating the space to make innovation happen. I'll go a little bit deeper in explaining what the Aviation Campus is, to kind of set the scene for our innovation management activities. However, there is much more that you can find out as part of the Aviation Campus. So if you want to find out more, you'll find the link down there on this slide. If you want to find out more, just check the link, since I will just go into detail of one of these aspects that you actually see here. So this is the Aviation Campus. basically where digitalization meets aviation, as I was explaining before. And this picture, this Aviation Campus, illustrates Lufthansa Systems' full service approach from strategy to execution. And we're doing so by combining the different disciplines under one roof. So here you have the Aviation Campus, and what you see is that there are different offices connected, that there are different topics connected to a center, which here is our headquarter in Raunheim, where we say your project basically is the center of all our activities. So we're trying to bring different areas together when running our projects. And here you have the offices, like as I said, the headquarters in Raunheim. You also have offices in Budapest, in Dansk, Zurich, in Berlin. But we also see, and that's something you see here, we also do have cooperations with other companies. For example, we do have a technology partnership with Microsoft. We do run other projects like this TESIT project, Teaching and Coaching, Innovation and Entrepreneurship, where we actually collaborate with companies from various industries and find out how we can actually get better facilitating innovation. We also do have collaborations with universities and research facilities, as you see here. For example, with the MIT, where we work on strategic network planning, and with Fraunhofer, where we do have a project about sensor communication. You do have Tel Aviv here, where we basically work with Cockpit in order to connect startups and airlines. So basically where we run innovation projects in collaboration with startups and trying to connect them with the airline industry. So the focus for now, as I said, if you want to find out more, feel free to check this link later on. For now, I'd like to go deeper to this area on the left-hand side, which is called Innovation and Themes. So before I start telling you about how we work or how we facilitate innovation, I'd like to point out the way we understand innovation. So before talking about innovation and themes, let me briefly talk about what innovation is from our perspective. And there is a nice saying in German which says, Innovation ist, wenn der Markt Hurra schreit. So this translates into something like innovation is when the market shouts hooray. And what sounds pretty easy and kind of clear just by hearing it, actually has a lot of different dimensions involved. So in order to hear a hooray, there actually must be a user who's happy about something, right? And in order to make him happy, you probably want to come up with an idea. But just having this idea wouldn't make him happy, since you have to make sure that this idea actually is out there on the market. So you have to be capable of implementing it. You have to prove that you're feasible, that it's feasible, and you have to make sure that's also viable from your company's perspective, that you actually want to bring it to the market in order to make the customer shout hooray. So what's in there is that only when a product has been successfully launched on the market, it actually can be an innovation. And this comes together in kind of different aspects. On the one hand, you do have to have this human need. You have to have a desire by a user, by a customer, and you have to come up with something that actually is usable, kind of this usability perspective for this human need. So you have to start thinking customer-centric, user-centric, if you want to come up with an innovation. On the other hand, as I said, you have to make sure that there's a business for you. You have to find out, or you have to identify one or even more different business models to figure out how this idea that you want to offer your user actually can be brought to the market. Is it viable for us? Do we actually want to invest in the idea? Does it make sense for us to go on with it? What would be my return on investment? What are the skills that we do have available inside the company, or even in connection with partners. And the third aspect of innovation is this technology aspect, where we have to figure out, can we do it? Kind of how quickly can I configure the solution to suit it to my need or to the need of the customer? Is the solution easy enough to maintain? Is it consistent with my current system landscape, or do I have to, you know, partner up with somebody who actually has the technology available? So only if these three dimensions meet, you can talk about innovation. So only if you make sure that you combine all these three aspects, you actually come up with an innovation. So an innovative idea on its own is not an innovation, nor is an invention an innovation or a cost reduction. So you have to make sure that you actually bring all these three aspects together. Okay, now that we set the scene, let me talk about how we actually trying to make this happen inside Lufthansa Systems. So how we facilitate innovation in our offices or in our company. So we came up, in order to address all these three things that I previously mentioned, we came up with this journey, and I actually call it journey because I personally don't like the word process, or even better, in combination with innovation, I think process is much too strong, since we say this is a journey you can take, but it doesn't have to be this way. We offer you a way to take you on your journey with your idea, but you doesn't have to take this way. There are lots of other paths that we may take, and at the same time, you don't have to go the whole way. It might be that you just enter the path of one of your colleagues, helping him to make his idea happen. So whatever we're saying, there are given ways or given frameworks that help you facilitating innovation, but it's not a one-fits-all solution. Our job as innovation managers basically is to find out what is the best way or the best path for you and your idea to actually make it happen. So, but just to give you a better picture of what we're doing, let me start from the very beginning, how we would deal with innovation from the very, very beginning. And what you see here is on the first, what you see here with the bulb is the challenge and the idea. So basically we start with a challenge, and this challenge could be a certain issue coming from a customer. Could also be a trend that we observe in the market that might influence our business or certain areas of our business. But this challenge could also be a certain strategic focus that we aim to set because it might be the result of a recent portfolio analysis, kind of certain gaps that we want to fill. So this kind of challenge helps us to kind of focus our ideation or focus our innovation process on given topics and kind of give it a kind of strategic direction. So on the one hand, we are the ones as innovation managers trying to identify these aspects that are important. But on the other hand, we also try to entice our colleagues to come up with their issues, because they are the ones being out at the market. They are the ones talking to the customers. They are the ones dealing with the technology. So basically, we also want them not just to approach us with ideas, but also with issues they might face in their daily business. And what we then do basically is turn this issue into an opportunity by rephrasing it into kind of a how might we question, which then is the challenge for this given journey, or for the journey we want to take. So there are kind of 1 to 3 challenges at a given time, like in parallel, which are which we try to have quite specific, as I said, on a trend or on a given issue. But we also have one more generic challenge, like how can we as Lufthansa Systems make sure that we sustain on the market. This is more the generic one, to enable everyone also be more open for other ideas that they have in mind, and not to be too strict in choosing the ideas. So the idea or the challenge would then be online in a tool which is called Invent IT, and it's an idea or innovation management online tool or framework where we start entering the challenge, and the colleagues could then see the challenge and answer to these issues we describe in the form of their ideas. So they see the challenge, they feel inspired. They also can visit other workshops we do have in parallel, or inspiration sessions, and then they can come up with their ideas and share these ideas online in this Invent IT tool. And the online aspect here is specifically important because you can have it globally. We can have all the people, all the colleagues from worldwide commenting or seeing these ideas, commenting on them, actually sharing their opinion. Do you actually think it does make sense? Could you give us your comment on why it might not make sense, because you do have experienced something similar and you want to share your experiences that do belong to this idea as well. So it's kind of a collaboration platform, collaboration on existing ideas. And in order to take these ideas, which at this point in time are on a very rough level, so we say it's more like describing the pain and the gain. What's the pain you've realized out there on the market, and what gain would this idea bring? So that's the level the ideas do have at the moment. But we know there must be more in it in order to decide. So what we say is that we want to spend at least a one-day workshop with the one who had the idea, but also with the people who started commenting on the ideas or started shaping the idea online already. And also the people who expressed their will to help us shaping the idea. So we do have a team of people who we then invite to a workshop. And in order to do so, it's kind of a pre-investment that we take. We know that more or less a one-day workshop would cost us about 1,000 euro. So in order to make this happen, we actually ask for this 1,000 euro to be funded. And this is not a decision we ask the management, or this is nothing we ask the management anymore. That was one of our major learnings, that we actually want to take this or give over this decision to the colleagues. Therefore, each and every colleague at Lufthansa Systems receive an equivalent of about 1,000 euro per year that he or she can then invest in the ideas they see online at this tool. So in order to have this 1,000 euro workshop kind of running, we actually say we need like 20 people to invest 50 euro in the idea. And why is it like 20 people, 50 euro instead of just having one? Because here we want to make use of the wisdom of the crowd. We say if there are 20 people believing in this idea and 20 people willing to spend 50 euro of their budget, of their innovation budget, then there must be something in it. Let's figure out what this idea entails. Let's figure out what this idea is about. But therefore we need a crowd of 20 people where we could also, so that's a number we can configure at any time. But at the moment we say we stick with this 20 people. So now we found 20 people who said, yeah, there's something in it. I'm happy to invest my 50 euro in this idea. So we would then invite this team to run a workshop, or we facilitate this workshop. And what you see here is, it is called design thinking. But I want to highlight that it is not a design thinking workshop, because design thinking can never be just a one-day workshop. But what we want to entice here is to bring up the design thinking mindset, kind of hands-on prototyping or early prototyping, customer-centric, kind of figuring out who is the user. And various design thinking mindsets that we want to entice in this workshop. So that's why we call it design thinking. But basically the question or the aim is to identify the value proposition of this idea. And we do so by asking questions: who is the user of this idea? What is the need, or what is the pain the user faces at the moment? How would this idea help to solve this pain or this need? And from Lufthansa Systems perspectives, what are the next steps we have to do in order to make it happen? So we do answer a set of questions along the day. We do bring in this user-centered perspective rather than approaching the idea from kind of selling it as marketing or being too technology focused. At this point in time, we want to know what is in there for our user, for our customer. So at the end of this workshop, we do know who the user is, we do know what the idea is, and we do know what we as Lufthansa Systems have to do next in order to create something tangible, in order to actually test this idea and test our hypothesis, to validate the idea. And we do know this, so we also know how much money we do have to invest to come up with the next step. And with this knowledge, or out of this information, we create a video, which is displayed here. We create a video of 2 to 4 minutes describing the idea from the perspective of the user. This goes then back into the tool. And now again, we do have our colleagues with 1,000 euro per year, and they will then invest this budget. So for example, if we figured out we want to develop the new onboard entertainment app or new entertainment app for children, so we know that we have to create a prototype. We know that we have to maybe buy certain tools to create this prototype. We know who we have to bring on board to make it happen. And we know that we might have to invite children to actually test this new game or app with us. So hey, let's go for 25,000 euro to actually test and validate this product. And with this sum of 25,000 euro, the explanation, the video will go back into the tool. And as soon as we found enough employees funding this 25,000 euro, we will actually run the next step, which is the accelerator. And the accelerator, or the aim of the accelerator, is, as I said, to test our hypotheses, kind of validate our assumptions. Did we understood the challenge right? Do we have the right idea to solve this need? And what are the features, or do we have the right features involved, or do we have the right content to actually solve the need of the user in this case? Or in my example, it would be, could we actually make the kids happy with our new app? So in most cases, we are talking about IT solutions or mock-ups or IT prototypes. So basically, we want to figure out what is the next step for us to test it. In most of the cases, the next step would be something, or would be the Google Ventures Design Sprint that we run, which is a 4 to 5 day program where we basically map the problem again, where we focus on the key aspects of this solution or of this journey, kind of identifying the minimum viable features that we want to test, which features will bring the most value. So let's focus on them, let's develop them and test them. We would then create a prototype or mock-up of this solution. And we will then actually invite real users. In my example, we would then invite the kids to actually join us testing the new product or the new service. And with this feedback from the user, we will then know, okay, most probably we'll have a second iteration implementing the feedback of the user. but definitely we have enough material to understand, to validate whether we're on the right track. But in order to validate whether the idea is actually viable, we have to go the next step, which is another workshop that we facilitate, which is identifying at least one, if not more, different business models, like how can we bring this idea to the market? What is in there for us? How can we actually reach our target group? What would be the channels we do have? What would be, how can we bring it to the market? Therefore, we use the lean canvas or the business model canvas template to create our business model or to validate the viability of the product. Last but not least, we help the innovation team to prepare the pitch, because now we do have enough material. Now we can prove with the customer feedback that yes, there is a need. We can prove that our solution is capable of solving this need, and we can prove that we found a way that would make this idea valuable for us from a company perspective. So we create a pitch with all this information, and the last step you would see here is the demo day, where we basically invite our CEOs and the CFO to take the decision, will this project or will this new product be taken or be added to our portfolio? Can we actually run the real project? Up until here, we're talking more of an experiment rather than a project, but from now on, it's getting implemented in our technical or in our given features in our portfolio. So from now on, if the decision, by the way, the demo day is a format where we invite not only the stakeholders, not only the management, but also all the employees can actually join in order to hear about the ideas, in order to see what we're working with, in order to see what happened during the last couple of months. Basically, from here, you would go all the way through your project, and this project will then be kind of part of the Aviation Campus picture that I was introducing previously. So that was the journey. And as I said, I really want to highlight that this is not a given or a set, this is not set in stone, that there is not one solution fits all. As I said, we do not always have to start with a challenge. You can also have ideas coming from your own challenges, coming from your own experience. You do not necessarily have to have an idea in order to take part. You can also just enter all along the way just by sharing your experiences in one of the workshops. And therefore, in the tool where you see the ideas online, you can actually press the button participate and let us know that you want to share your time and your skills and your knowledge to actually engage with one of the projects that we're running. So from here on, we will then coach the innovation team to actually connect the new project, the new service, the new product with the right partners. Kind of very often we do invite students joining our project, like having our network open towards the universities. We do cooperate with other companies. And one major aspect here is, I haven't been talking about the IT Hub Airlines aspect down here up until now, but we also are, as I said, a cornerstone of Lufthansa Group's digital strategy. So the IT Hub Airlines, so the Lufthansa Group also plays a major role in facilitating the innovation. And therefore we are part of something that's called the Flying Lab, or the other way around. So what you see here is the Flying Lab that bundles, orchestrates, and connects and facilitates. I was talking about facilitation a lot, all the activities to drive the digital IT innovation for the Lufthansa Group Hub Airlines. So what I was talking about, the journey that I've mentioned, is part of this Flying Lab event. And this is the framework that we've developed here at Lufthansa Systems for ideation, engagement, kind of develop and manage this or facilitate this innovation. But there are also a lot of other aspects belonging to the Flying Lab, which is the Flying Lab Lounge, where we transfer the ideas and business models and bring in partners and from like these startups that I've mentioned or other academic partners to collaborate with them. We do also have a campus in place, so kind of offering the facilities like the rooms to make all this happen, to offer the facilities to run the workshops or for the workshops, to invite everyone to come here and actually give them room, kind of co-working space to make all this happen. The Flying Lab Beta is the testing environment, so to say. As I said, testing and prototyping plays a major role since I was talking about this experimentation phase, which is all about testing the assumptions and prototyping our ideas. A later stage of prototyping definitely would be to bring this to a larger scale. So not inviting the kids or whoever the user would be to come here, but actually to bring our idea, to bring the prototype out there and test it in a larger scale. In this case, the Flying Lab is actually a flight where we test and also communicate existing ideas and solutions. The Flying Lab was running a couple of times already where the Lufthansa Group brought conferences actually into the plane and had various talks, expert talks about given topics. And last but not least, Flying Lab Connect is bringing together inspiring formats to share the expertise or leverage the knowledge, kind of having meetups, having expert talks, running kind of conferences on given technologies, and yeah, things to bring people together and to inspire them with different topics. So yeah, basically that was all about Lufthansa Systems Innovation Management. If you want to hear more about this Flying Lab, we will also talk more about the background of all these things at the ISPIM conference in Florence. Well, for now, my focus was more on the Flying Lab event. Yeah, but actually I'd be happy if you have any other questions. Of course, I'll be here for a couple of more minutes to answer your questions. Other than this, feel free to contact me. And yeah, there you go.
Thank you very much, Carina. I actually have one question for you. How much time does on average the journey take?
Yeah, good question. It should not take more than 3 months. So we plan to have it within a time frame of 3 months.
Okay. Another question, obviously at Lufthansa, you're very innovative, but how can anyone out from company benefit from your knowledge and experience? Do you share your knowledge, like in terms of workshops or I don't know?
Actually, we do. So we're always happy to join external formats. Like I was invited as a speaker for in external companies or in other companies to share our experience. We also, as I said, we do work in projects like this TESSE project, Teaching and Coaching Innovation and Entrepreneurship Innovatively. So, where we collaborate with other companies to share our experiences. We do have meetups. I was presenting at meetups, but it's not only me. So all of the colleagues here at Lufthansa Systems, especially in innovation management, are very eager to actually share their experiences. And we're more than happy if you have something to share, that we start the discussion about how we can learn from each other.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's it.